So the exciting thing about none of these levels being inherently better and us not being a level X person is that we get to choose the level we're in when we show up. And oftentimes we do that by choosing the story we tell ourselves. And that sounds a little hard to believe, but what we find is because, again, as I just explained it, that story we tell ourselves is our brain making sense out of information where we don't have everything that we need. A lot of times we pick and we tell ourselves a story and then we're convinced it's true. And sometimes even the smallest shift to that story can have really profound results. So to illustrate that, I'd like to share a story from my own personal life. And it's a story about a small shift going from more of a 1 or 2 to a 5. And it's from my parenting experience. So I have 3 children, a son and 2 daughters. My son is turning 14 in a couple weeks, and he loves all things electronics. So computers, robots, he wants to be an engineer. And working with him, trying to help him learn sort of the value of money and the value of work. I've been helping him rebuild a computer that he inherited from his grandpa. And so item 1 on the list was a new graphics card, which is somewhat expensive. I assume probably for gaming more so than engineering, but, I'm working with him here. And so the deal was if he would mow the yard 10 times, I would buy the new graphics card. And each time he mowed the yard, it'd knock some of that cost off. And after being gone for a week of work, where I traveled, it was a Friday night, I got home, and the grass was tall and the dandelions were in full bloom. And so I started going down, right, that psychological gravity. The story I told myself started to be, oh my gosh, I've been working all week, and now I'm going to come home and mow the yard. And I got inside, in the kitchen table, there's a note from my wife. It said, honey, have a great evening. Took the kids to a party. That kind of added to it. So now I'm thinking, poor Philip, right? The violins were playing. And it was a pity party. It was level 1. I'm powerless. Look at me. I worked all week long. My family's having fun, and I'm stuck here. Now I got to mow my yard. And so as I was mowing the yard, that level 1 actually started kind of escalating into a level 2, where it was kind of, I'm blaming now. I'm trying to figure out why the heck I'm back here mowing. And it started to be, who's wrong? It's not me. Like, I was working all week, so somebody has to be wrong, right? And that level 1 and 2 stew kind of percolated for the entire backyard until I got to my front yard. And when I got to my front yard, I had the good fortune of looking across the street. I live in a subdivision. And my neighbor, whose name is Tom, was sitting on his driveway watching me. And the thing that you need to know about Tom is he's one of those salt-of-the-earth guys, tool and die guy, worked for the same company his entire career. Never happier than whenever he's working, and would do anything, give the shirt off his own back. In fact, he's one of those guys that whenever I heard a mower and it sounded really close, it was because it was really close, and Tom was just mowing my yard. He would do that. Just come over and mow my yard. Say, I thought you were busy, wanted to help. And the other thing you need about Tom, maybe the more important factor, is that Tom was sitting on a wheelchair with an oxygen mask. And he was doing that because he was just diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. And he doesn't have a lot of time left. And he was watching me. And he was wishing he could be me. He was wishing he had healthy lungs and legs. And he was wishing he could mow my yard. In my story that I have to mow my yard, right, it shifted to I get to mow my yard. And it was just that subtle. Have to get to. It's only one word, but it changed the whole perspective. And so instead of this anger and frustration and feeling of helplessness, I was filled with gratitude and thinking, oh my gosh, this is a good opportunity. I should just enjoy this. And the impact that it had on my family when they got home, interacting with them with that sense of gratitude, as opposed to that level 1 and 2 stew that I was telling you about, was significant. And I'm very thankful for it. So again, I got to choose a story. I could have told myself I have to. That's perfectly legitimate. If I wanted to believe that, I also could have told myself I get to. One of them just had a lot more power.